Hello, everybody. It's Christy Whitman with the Quantum Success Show, where you can get your information and inspiration to create your desires. And you can see I have a friend. This is Stacey Martino, and she is a sought-after relationship expert. And she knows that it only takes one partner to transform a relationship, any relationship. I love this. Can't wait to talk to you about this, Stacey, because this is totally how I feel. It takes one person to make the change, and it can totally make a huge difference. So I'm just going to give a formal announcement of who you are, and then we can get into our discussion on this. So Stacey and her husband, Paul, empower individuals with the tools and strategies to transform their relationships. And you don't need your partner to participate in the process. I know many of you are like, oh, I'm willing to change and I'm wanting to do the work, but my husband won't do it. Don't need to. You can get the results that you want in your relationship without having him to do it with you or her, depending on who the person is. So Stacey and Paul are the founders of relationshipdevelopment.org and creators of the Relationship U. And today, through their programs and live events, Stacey and Paul help thousands of people transform their love relationships. And as a happy bonus, you get to apply the same strategies to improve all of your relationships. So even if you're not in a romantic relationship, if you have business relationships, if you have relationships with your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your kids, it'll help all relationships. So trained and certified by Tony Robbins herself, Stacey is a certified marriage educator and divorce preventionist. I love that. And international best-selling author. Stacey is a sought-after relationship expert, passionate and engaging speaker, and media guest, and is a relationship expert for Aspire magazine, which I absolutely love. Aspire and joy and all that. So a better relationships begin here, and she's going to give you a free gift after our interview, which is actually under the link or under the video. You can see a link and you can go there right away. But Stacey, so excited to talk to you about this. What do you mean it takes one?
Yeah, so that's the big game changer, right, Christy, is that it only takes one, because we've all been so brainwashed with it takes two to tango and they have to want to do the work with you and all of those things that really have kept a lot of really good people stuck, feeling like, do I just have to settle for what is then because my partner's not interested at all or doesn't even think there's a problem? Or what do I do? Just like upheaval and tear apart my family because I want things to get better and my partner doesn't? And honestly, both of those alternatives feel terrible. So what we really offer our students, the people that we serve, is another alternative, which is stay and transform, because the truth is it only takes one partner. So here's how it works. And I know you already know this and you've experienced this. We just never really had words for it before. It all works with interaction. So you've probably had this experience, Christy, or maybe you who's watching have had this experience where you've been like rocking it in the zone, having a great day, and all of a sudden your partner comes home, or you see someone, it might not even be your partner, and they're like just in a crap state. They're in the toilet, everything is going wrong, and they're complaining, and what happens to your state? Immediately, you tank, exactly. And the next thing you know, you're like, hey, it's not so bad, and they're coming back to you saying, you don't really get it. You don't understand what real problems are. You don't know what it's like to be me, or whatever it is. They're like, why do you always have to do this? Why do you always have to do this? And round and round and round we go. We have all had this experience. Now it's about you and them. It didn't even start out being about you and them. But what is that? It's triggers. And that is the most powerful force in human relationship, is the trigger. You were fine. You were rocking it. Nothing changed in your world. They triggered you. Now you're in the toilet. And round we go. All Paul and I do, my husband and I do, is teach people how to use that. Use your triggers. The most powerful force in human relationship. Just trigger the best out of your partner. Trigger the response that you really want, that elevates your relationship and takes it to the next level, instead of unknowingly constantly triggering the crap in your partner that you don't want. And half the time we know it, right? You have a thought, or you're thinking something, your partner's talking and you're thinking something, and you're like, I'm not even gonna bother to say that because I know how that's gonna go, right? So we already know, and guess what, Cupcake? They already know what you're thinking. They know what they say next. If you've been in a relationship for any period of time, you know that you trigger each other. And a lot of it is just completely unknowing because nobody ever gives us the relationship education that we also desperately need, especially to learn the differences between the masculine and the feminine. So that's what we do. We teach people how to trigger better responses instead of reactions out of your partner, and all of a sudden the relationship transforms.
Absolutely. Well, I always say, and the way I feel and what I've learned from my mentor is that all relationships start with you and how you hold and think of a relationship, how you think about your partner and the interactions. Like, we think of someone, we have like these pretend interactions that go on, you know, like we either pretend fight with them or pretend think about what we're going to say the next time they say this, or, you know, like we're either in fighting mode with them or we're loving them or we're in a different, but we're always rehearsing before something actually happens. And for me, that totally changed my life, because if I can find peace inside myself, like my relationship with my mom completely transformed, because I don't now hold her in a person that's critical and judgmental of me all the time, and I feel less than around her. I know that my mom is my biggest cheerleader now, and that has completely changed my relationship with her. What I expect inside of myself has manifest in our relationship outside, and even with my husband too. When I think of him in a different way, with, you know, not coming from the programming that I had as a kid, that men are never enough and they never do enough, they never earn enough, they never blah, blah, blah enough. It's a total losing war for a man to be in a relationship with me, because, you know, I was raised by the best that said men are never enough. So I had to totally change that programming, and I had to change my relationship with the man inside of me before I could change a relationship with the actual man in my life.
Yeah, amen. And that is so true, because that's going to influence how you're going to interact with that person.
Yeah.
And the meanings that you attach to what they're doing in their normal day. They're just being themselves, but we attach certain meanings to things. And it's really about removing a lot of that old blueprint, a lot of that old story that we got along the way from well-intentioned people. But when you look at the people who were well-intentioned, who handed us our views on relationship and the model, did they really have an unshakable love and an unleashed passion through the years? Most of us did not end up with those role models. And so we just did the best that we could with what we had. And now that we know better, we can do better. And that's what this is all about.
Absolutely. So what would your advice be to someone that, in your example, right, they're having a great day, I just had clients that ask me this all the time, I'm feeling so good, I feel so connected, I walk out of my office door and maybe they're at work and their boss is there, or they walk out of their door in their house and their husband's there and he's rah, or something. Like, what would you recommend to those people in those situations that actually feel good and connected, but we share a planet with other people?
Yes, amen. So here's what I say, and we teach this across the board in so many different ways, but it all comes down to one fundamental truth. If you're going through life right now needing other people to change in order for you to get or stay happy, you're setting yourself up for pain and failure, and it's unnecessary. The truth is, you cannot go through life needing anyone or anything else to serve things up to you a certain way in order for you to get to happy. There's a million ways to happy. And as humans, we must learn how to be happy, stay in state, whatever it is for you, stay connected, especially regardless of your environment, because you can't control anyone or anything outside of yourself, only yourself. And the truth is, every relationship in your life, whether it was that husband or that boss or your kids or whoever's triggering you, they're coming to you as a gift. That's your gift. It's the universe saying, okay, you need to learn how to stay connected, stay in alignment, stay in state, regardless of your environment. Here's an opportunity. Show me how you can show up with compassion. Show me how you can see this and be unwaved by it. Show me how you can think about them and be in service to them instead of thinking about how unpleased you are by that moment. Because nobody came to this planet to please us. And nobody else could possibly serve life up to us the way that we think we need it to be happy. And that's the journey of human life, right? We start out as kids thinking everything should change to be about us, but eventually we become big kids and we want to share our life with someone. We want to work with people, and we even want to be friends with people, and Lord knows we have family of origin stuff. And the truth is, the sooner we get to understanding that We can't need other people to shift for us to be happy. The happier we're going to be. And then it's about learning the tools and strategies like I described. How do you see people with compassion and make it about them instead of about you? How can you be more of the observer instead of always feeling like, how does that make me feel? And getting jerked around by interactions and really mastering your state in those moments. And there's so much we can teach around that, but that really is the fundamental of it.
Well, what you're saying is really how I explain the law of allowing when it comes not only to ourselves, but in a relationship with others. Like if you have to say, if you change, then I'll be happy, you're not allowing. And, you know, another mentor of mine, Karen Wilson, would say that that's the drama triangle. It's like, if you change, then I'll be happy, because right now I'm a victim and you need to change, do something so I'm not a victim. And that when you change, I'll be happy. And that is the biggest recipe for disaster, for disappointment, and, you know, setting yourself up to constantly be a victim and to be a victim of circumstance and to be unhappy because you can't control other people. And sorry, but they're not always about you. You know, we have to come from ourselves. And sometimes we do things that are for our best interest and not in the best interest of everybody else. You know, if we're being true and honest with ourselves and how we feel and following our own inner guidance, you know, so that's, I find, one of the biggest things, that when people return back to themselves and start listening to what's a yes for them and what's a no for them, and they start saying, you know, sorry, I can't do that today, or maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, or no, that doesn't feel good to me. The other person might be disappointed. And if you're stuck in this drama triangle where I have to be performing da 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 da, you know, to make you happy, you know, then it's like, it's not going to work. Because if I say, you know what, sorry, that's just not going to work for me, and you're wanting to do something, you know, it's like, how can that other person then say, okay, that's fine, I respect that, I'm going to go do it anyway, or, you know, whatever it is. So I appreciate that perspective, Stacey.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's interesting, and this comes up all the time, because that's true in all relationships, and it really ends up being a struggle for people in the marriage or love relationship, because that ends up being like 24/7. You're so hitched to that person that every outcome like is really on the last nerve sometimes, because you feel like your whole life is hinged to their actions or not actions. But truthfully, one of the other fundamental like scratch to that pattern that we all have to be able to do what we're talking about now, is that when you do things to please others, because this is very, very common in relationship, that's why one of the things that makes people stand on edge when Paul and I say this, because they can't believe it comes out of our mouths, is that we teach no compromise in relationship. You cannot build an unshakable relationship based on compromise if you're going to be with someone more than an hour, because nobody can have good behavior for that long. We teach doing the work, right, to really shift. And because the truth is, when you please someone, right, in your example, you're doing that from whatever you would call that, right? The right side of the emotional guidance scale, or from below the 50% line in your state, or just not from a good place. It's not a real yes for you. You're doing something to please somebody else. And that's the energy that's going to boomerang back from that action every time. You know, it's the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction, the law of allowance. Whatever you do, whenever you take an action from pleasing, what's going to boomerang back is not good stuff, right? Because it's going to keep you in that unallowing. And then, so we always teach that the boomerang emotion from pleasing is resentment. Because typically what happens in a relationship is, I only did that to please, that the boomerang emotion from pleasing is resentment.
Awesome. So can you tell us about the free gift that you have underneath the video?
Absolutely. So my husband and I are doing a live online training class, and we'd love to invite you to join us, where we can really teach you more of the content around how to create your unshakable love and unleash passion, and get tools and strategies that you can start using in your life today in order to shift your relationship, transform your relationship without needing your partner to participate. So if that speaks to you and you'd love to join us, we'd love to invite you to join us in our next online class.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stacey. It's been great talking to you and having this discussion with you. I appreciate the level of awareness and the different perspective that you're bringing into relationships.
Awesome. Thanks, Christy. Bye-bye.
Leave us a comment, everyone. Let us know what you're taking away. And just remember that the universe is always supporting you, and you ask by the vibration that you give out. So leave us a comment. Let me know what you're taking away. Thanks so much. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for watching, and here is a related video to watch right now. Also, check out my free webinars on creating whatever you want in your life using the universal laws that I explain in each webinar. So share your thoughts by leaving a comment and continue the conversation at ChristyWhitman.com.